G'day guys, it's Wolffy here and welcome back to the Wolf Pack. Okay, so today I've got a new tune, or a couple of tunes for you guys, and it's part of the engine swap series that we've been doing for a while now. And this one is the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, and we've done the RSR engine swap in it. Now I know a number of you guys have probably done this one, but for anyone that hasn't, I really think it's worth checking out this tune and having a bit of a play with it. It's amazing for both the 800 pp tune and the 700 pp tune, and this car is just so much fun to drive. I really enjoy this one. And yeah, sorry I haven't dropped any vids in a while. I've just been trying to get my setup all sorted, but I hope you enjoy this one, and if you do, be sure to leave a like and maybe leave a comment. Let me know how you go. Okay, let's get stuck in. So basically we've got two separate tunes, and you're going to want to just buy absolutely all the go fast bits for this car and put them all on, and between the 800 and the 700 pp tunes, you've only really got to just make some adjustments in the settings. So what you're going to want to do is go to Porsche, and you're going to want to get this car right here, the 911 GT3 RS 991 2016. Pick yourself a lovely colour. Then you're going to want to go, of course, into GT Auto, and you're going to want to do the wide body and engine swap conversions. I've obviously done the wide body already on this one. The engine itself is only going to set you back 325,000 credits, which isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. So it's dropping the displacement down to 4 litres, still naturally aspirated until we play with it. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit more power, a little bit more torque, and better weight to power to weight ratio. Next thing you're going to want to do is head over, get yourself a set of wheels. Any aftermarket wheel is going to do. I've chosen to go with the smaller rim width, rim diameter, and the wide rim width, and of course the wide offset. Then you're going to want to put on the Type A front end, the Type A side skirts if you want them, the rear diffuser of course, and the Type A rear wing. One last thing you're going to want to get in here is the roll cage. Now I don't think it matters whether you get A, B or C, just as long as you get a roll cage. So that's going to change the way this car behaves, and obviously it's going to change the PPs. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got 788 brake horsepower, and we're looking at 1.126 ton. The weight differential between the front and back is 38-62. So basically a 40-60 weight split seems to work well with these Porsches. I'm just sort of finding this out now. So we're running a 9.76 quarter mile. Slows down a little bit as you get up towards the mid speed and high speed. Stability is not too bad. Rotational G's surprisingly aren't that high for this car. And we're using the racing medium tyres front and rear. Fully customizable suspension. Body height is set to 105 at the front and 118 at the rear. And we've got just a little bit of rake effect there. The anti-roll bar is set to 6 at the front and 6 at the rear. Dampening ratio compression is set to 33 at the front and 32 at the rear. Expansion is 43 at the front and 42 at the rear. Natural frequency is 2.35 at the front, 2.65 at the rear. Negative camber 2.5 at the front and 2.2 at the rear. Now toe angle, we've only got a little bit on, so we've got 0.07 outward at the front and 0.20 inward at the rear. So yeah, I played around with that a little bit, but that seems to be where it's most comfortable. So we've got the fully customizable differential, and we've set the initial torque to 8 for this particular tune. That'll change, however, for the other tune. Acceleration sensitivity is at 18, braking sensitivity at 50. Okay, so front downforce, we've got 183, and it seems to be quite comfortable there. 466 for the rear. It's the fully customizable ECU, of course, and that's set to 100%. Got a tiny bit of ballast, basically just to bring up the numbers and give us a bit more over the rear, so we're sending that back a little bit, just to 5. And I haven't really changed the gears on this. I've just set it to 330, but you might actually want to play around with it a little bit. Maybe change the angle of 5th and 6th gear. I think it could probably make it a little bit more torquey and get you up the rev range a bit quicker. But I've basically just left it, I believe, where it is for now, but it's probably something I'm going to change a little bit as this tune progresses. So we've got the high RPM turbo, and the carbon brakes and racing brake pads. As you'll probably already know if you've seen my videos, I always grab the handbrake. And our brake balance, I'm setting slightly forward here, so maybe 1 or 2 should do, and that's basically just to help me cut back on tyre wear on the rear tyres. So this is the important part. This thing has 4-wheel steering controller, and it's really handy for swinging the rear of the car around. You don't need a whole lot of front end downforce. This thing will help to just bring that rear end around by pointing the wheels in the opposite direction that the front ones are pointing in. We've got the racing clutch and flywheel, and we've chucked on every weight reduction we can get. Stage 5 is available in the extreme section of the tuning shop, I believe. And of course we want the increased body rigidity with this build. So we're going to be going to Europe, to Sardinia, for the WTC 800 event. And one thing I just would definitely advise with this race is always head into the settings and just change it over to hard, or at least to medium. Just because otherwise, if it's on easy, you're going to be lapping the AI twice, sometimes even 3 times, and it just slows you down. This car is going to have no problems beating it in normal or in hard mode. Now, one thing you'll note about this build is that it performs quite a bit better than the RSR itself, the Group 3 car. You can actually get it up to 800 pp points, and the fuel consumption's better, so we can do a one-stop strat. And yeah, it's like having the RSR, but just heaps better. Now, I'm not going to actually show you guys the full race or anything like that. I'm just going to show you the fastest lap, which was on my final lap, and give you an idea of the strat that I was using. So as I was saying, we can do a one-stop strat with this build. So we're leaving it in fuel map 6, basically for our first stint of 8 laps, or you might want to do the 8 laps second, but regardless, we're running it in fuel map 6, and once we get towards the end of the strat, any additional fuel that we've got left over, we're using that up the straights. Basically I'm using it mostly for top end, because this thing is already it powers out of the corners, so the acceleration's off the charts. It does, however, lack a little bit when it gets to top end, or to top speed. So I was basically using it after I'd exited a corner and started to get a bit of a roll on towards the end of each stint, just to waste that little bit of extra fuel and to get those times down a little bit. And as you can see, this thing is amazing when if you're going around corners and you try and swing yourself into a corner in the RSR, it's just not going to grab the way this thing does. And it's not even so much about the grabbing, it's just I really think it comes down to the 4-wheel steering system. It just helps you swing the rear of that car around so much better than the RSR would, and it's got way more power than the RSR. So I've checked the numbers on it. Acceleration performance is like a second faster over a quarter mile, or more than a second. So yeah, it's unbelievable. So yeah, not the fastest car I've ever made for this race, but it is by far the most fun. It's so cool to drive, and you got to remember it's a road car. So we're still doing 24.5 minutes. Fastest lap was 1 minute 33, and as always, I'm sure some of you quick guys out there are going to be able to really improve on that. And as I was saying earlier, the great thing is that with just a few changes, you can go and use this thing in these 700 pp events. So we're going to check that out now. I'll just give you an idea of what's changed rather than showing you everything. So we're down to 458 brake horsepower. It's a little bit heavier, so probably 150 kilos heavier. The weight differentials changed slightly, but I've still tried to keep it as close to 40/60 as possible. We're now at an 11 second quarter mile, and it's a bit slower on the top end, of course. Stability is a little bit worse. However, this thing you can actually run in fuel map 1 for the whole race. So we've got racing hard tyres front and rear. Just make sure that you've got the wets ready. We've got 102 at the front for the height adjustment and 114 at the rear, so a little bit more of a rake effect. The compression at the front has changed to 32 and rear 31. Expansion has changed to 42 at the front and 41 at the rear. Natural frequency has changed to 2.30 at the front and 2.60 at the rear. Negative camber angle has changed to 2.8 at the front, 2.5 at the rear. We've got a tiny bit more toe angle at the front because there's not quite as much wear in this race, so we're down to 0.10 outward. A little bit more initial torque because of the lessened power, so that's set to 10 now. Downforce has changed to 177, and rear downforce has changed to 465. We're still running 100% for the ECU. Now obviously we've had to increase the ballast here, so that's going all the way up to 200, and we've pushed it forward. I've tried to push it forward as little as possible, so we're at minus 30 there. We've still got 90% on the power restrictor, and gears are staying the same. The turbocharger's coming off, and other than that, the only other thing that's changed is four-wheel steering is coming down just a little bit to 66. Just because we wanted to unsettle the car a little bit less under those really high speed corners, but it's still really handy for swinging the car around in the more mid speed and low speed corners, and this thing's great for this event as well. Now once again, I'm not going to show you this race either. I'm just going to point out some things just because we want to try and keep the video length down. So as I was saying, you can run fuel map 1 for this and still get 3 laps quite easily, and with a little bit of fuel saving you can even get 4. So it's really versatile. Another thing I'd suggest is don't bother with the heavy wets. I had an absolute torrential downpour and I only needed the intermediates, surprisingly enough. But yeah, look, it's once again not the fastest build I've ever made for this, but the fact that you can use it for both the 700 and 800 pp event is just absolutely awesome, and it performs really well in both. And while it isn't the fastest car that I've ever made, it is definitely one of the most fun, and it just controls so well. So I think people are really going to like this one, and it's going to have a little bit of a bit of life in it. Seems to me it's the sort of thing that people will probably use quite a few times, and one thing I would suggest is have a go at tuning it yourself. Change things around. I've left the shocks and the spring rate a little bit loose on this just to make it a bit more pliable, but some of you guys might like slightly tighter shocks. So play around with it yourselves and just see what you can come up with, and if you've come up with any great ideas or improve on it, please be sure to let me know. That's the sort of stuff I'd really like to hear. So be sure to leave a like on your way out and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and until next time guys, take care. Bye.
When you're running with the